Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has held a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Netanyahu voiced his disapproval of Russia's position against Israel. Let's bring in our correspondent Imran Khan. He's joining us live from Tel Aviv. And Netanyahu spoke to Putin for the first time in nearly 2 months, Imran. Do we have any details?
We certainly do from the Israeli side, not from the Russian side. This phone call lasted around 50 minutes. It's the first time the two men have spoken since October 16th. Now, relations between Russia and Israel are fraught, and this was reflected. In fact, the Israeli PM says he expressed his displeasure with certain statements made by Russian officials at the UN and other forums, he says, against Israel. He also strongly criticized the relationship between Russia and Iran and called it dangerous. And he also said that any country that suffered a terrorist attack, such as Israel did on October 7th, would act with no less force than Israel. But he was also appreciative of the fact that Russian efforts to release an Israeli citizen with Russian citizenship, and said that Israel will use all means, both politically and militarily, to release all the hostages. Now, talking about the hostages, the captives, he also told Russia to put pressure on the Red Cross to visit and provide medicines for the hostages held in Gaza. Now, that last bit's actually very interesting. Increasingly, the Prime Minister is blaming the Red Cross for not doing enough for the captives in Gaza. This is popular because it deflects criticism of him. It also tallies with what the Bring Them Back campaign are saying. That's the umbrella organisation that represents the captives still in Gaza. They've also been blaming the Red Cross as well. However, I've spoken to the Red Cross. They can't act unilaterally. They have to act as a result of humanitarian diplomacy. They can't simply walk into a war zone with intense bombardment and go and see these hostages. This has to happen as part of a wider agreement. But by blaming the Red Cross, it deflects criticism of Netanyahu himself. And we've seen this time and time again.
Yeah, it's interesting because the Israeli ambassador at the United Nations was also blaming the UN for the lack of aid getting into Gaza. That is Imran Khan live in Tel Aviv.